Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to learn how to work with R Markdown and how to use the simple commands in R Markdown and use R Markdown for to write our assignments. If you log into your D2L account, uh, click on course content. We'll see that there is a folder is called assignment 0. This assignment 0 provides an instruction on how to work with R Markdown for in the hope of for your assignment. Here there is a PDF file, and in this PDF file I provided some different commands or different notes about R Markdown. And then also in this folder, you'll see that there is a folder is called assignment underline a source assignment on source underline assignment 0. This is the source file of assignment 0, and we want to use this source file as a sample template to write our assignment 1 in this template. Also, one thing we can do, like always, we need to create a directory for ourselves. So for example, create a folder on your desktop. Let's rename this one and call it assignment 0. So now we want to download these files from the source file and drag them into this folder. So we download them one by one. Download this one. Even if you don't need to download these are a web page, so use the source file, download the image, then download the CSV file, the dataset, or even if you want, you can download the web page as well. But I know that there is something wrong with this RStudio. They changed the form. They when you download the HTML, it creates a zip file for them, but that's okay. So we put them here. Then we need to drag these files into our directory. So, and then we don't need anymore. We don't need anymore the assignment 0. So here I call this one. So this is our directory, and we close all our studio sessions, and then even you don't need this zip file, you can delete this one. So the source file, this is the RMD file, and you see that the extension of the source file is R Markdown RMD. And if you open this file with the RStudio, and you see that by doing this action for every lab, we do this one by opening this file with RStudio. So if you look at the files, now the folder we created, assignment 0, is automatically set as our directory, and all files in this directory, they are available and we have access to them. We don't need to provide the path or the location of them, so we can easily bring them into our Markdown. But anyway, so if you look at the R Markdown, as I said in the previous lab, the first lines are the preamble or the details of your R Markdown. So you can change here. This is a text editor. You can change like Word. We can change it whatever for whatever we want. For example, I want to change it the title and say that stat 1510 assignment assignment 1. And the other name is, for example, John Smith. John, I hope we don't have the John Smith in our class list. Anyway, so the John Smith wants to submit assignment 1 of stat 1510, and we know that the due date of assignment 1 is uh, February 2nd. So for example, February 2nd of 2021. And now you save it. And if you need this file to HTML, so you see that the title has changed, assignment Stat 1510, assignment 1, John Smith, and the February 2nd. And then you don't need to work, just leave it as it is. You don't need to, this is the details of the R Markdown. And we say that just we want to use it as a sample. We only change it as we want. For example, I want to create, we know that creating a list or an order list in Microsoft Windows, it's not very convenient, but here it is very convenient. For example, I want to create a list of different items. The first item, it says that this document serves as a template. The second item is one. For example, the third item, I want to add, just write it dashed John. And then we say that John Smith. John Smith should not will not forget not I'm just writing to forget to submit the assignment 1 on time. So then if you just need it again, you'll see that we created a new item in unordered list, and a new item is added to the list. Or I can do what I can do. For example, I don't need this line, I delete it. Maybe I want to make it as a ordered list. So I write it 1 underline, 1 dash, 2 dash, and 3 dash. And then if you need this one, so you'll see that you have the ordered list of these items. Sometimes you want to see that how you can, you want to add a URL into your document. So it is very easy. For example, the URL of computer lab 2 is on YouTube is, so instead of this one, just instead of this one, delete this URL. And then for example, on this is I already, if you look at the YouTube, I have uploaded our computer labs on YouTube. So this is the link of the computer lab 2. I put it in here, and then I change this one. So in the bracket, I just want to add a title for that, computer lab 2. So if you run this one, you'll see that computer lab, and if you click on that, it directs you to the YouTube file, the YouTube address of your computer lab. Or sometimes you can create, this one is, for example, item 4, item 5, item 6, item 7, for example. If I can highlight whatever I want in R Markdown, just simply put them in between the quotation. So if you run, you'll see that item 5 is now should be highlighted. So it is highlighted. Or sometimes if you want to write in the italic font, you can add whatever you want between 2 asterisks. For example, I just change it John Smith, just confirm that he would submit his assignment on time. So I'm completely sure that John Smith is a good student. It he's just confirmed that he will send his assignment on time. So if you run it, so we'll see that this statement is in the italic font, or you can use you can bold whatever you want when you put that statement or letter between the double asterisks, so then it appears in the bold face. For example, if we use three asterisks, so it creates for us a line. So it shows that we are organized. So you can separate the different exercises or different sections by these lines. So you could use these three asterisks. Then, if you want to just label your exercise, for example, I know that your first question of your assignment 1 is chapter 1, exercise 2, and then write whatever you have, and then write your explanation. For example, in this example, just as an example, 35 out of 70 women voted. So 75 divided by 35 divided by 70, and we have to report this sample proportion based on the percentages. So 100%, it becomes around 35, 50%, 50%. So if you run it, compiler, you'll see that I change it to 50%, and whatever, just typing is just a matter of time. Then again, separated from the next exercise. For example, the next exercise in our assignment is we want to answer the exercise 1 of chapter 3. So you want to calculate the margin of error of 95% confidence interval. So what I would like to draw your attention is that whenever you want to write an R command in the R Markdown, so you need to determine that it is R code. How to determine the chunk is R code? So you can use this command, three quotation, and then bracket R, and then three quotation. So whatever, if you type whatever between these two lines, it means that the R Markdown recognize that this is the R code and run it. For example, we want to see that 23 plus 34, and then if we run this part, so R Markdown recognize that this command between in this environment is R code, and run it, and it gives you the answer of your result. For example, the 23 plus 34 is 57. Or you can use sometimes this one just we learned that if you want to leave a comment on R Markdown, on R, so we can use a hashtag, and after that, whatever you write, R or R Studio recognize that this is just a comment and you get nothing. So you can use this trick, and here just write your comment, whatever you want. For example, I use this trick and indicate that to provide an explanation to help you that if you want to type your calculations, you can use this technique. So for typing the formula, I'm not sure what is your background, if it is convenient for you to type it or not, but I'm thinking that this is kind of the hard for you, so forget about typing the mathematical equations. If you know it to type it, so that would be great. So it's like LaTeX writing. But if you don't know it, forget about it. That's beyond the scope of this class. So one thing you can do, you can simply write your whatever your calculation on paper and take a picture of your calculation. And once you have to take a picture, you want to enclose your picture and attach your picture into your RStudio. For example, if you look at our directory, this is the image. For example, I write this one with pen on the paper, and then I took a picture and then I want to attach this handwritten formula into my R code or something what I did. So you can print a screen your calculation, whatever you have. For example, in R Mark in the Mac, we know that if we want to crops one part of the screenshot, so you can hold the command shift and 4. So I can create this time, and then for example, I just want to this part of the image, this part of calculus, just want to well, then I created this part. So now I'm closing this one. So you'll see that now it is saved the image that we if you click it, this is just an image on your computer. So I'm going to, for example, rename this image and call it new solution, sln dot png. So the format, leave it as a png file, and then bring it because we are in directory, and we drag this new image into our directory. And this time we want to consider this is your calculation, your handwritten formula, and you want to recall in R Markdown. So just this is as a sample. So delete whatever you have. You don't need to know how this command works. Just it's a sample. We want to use it. So instead of the copy and paste this command, so instead of the because you see that the image we added is already in our directory, we only need to add the name of this image. For example, the name of the image is new underline sln. And you see that as long as we type it, so R Markdown recognizes that image because it's already in our directory. And you can make it larger. For example, instead of 50%, I want to be this one to be 75% larger. And then you can either use the previous one or look at, if we run this one, let's see what do we get. This is a calculation from the previous image, which is in the directory, or this is the image that we just recall it. And do you remember we cropped this part of the image? So we attach this one, or maybe sometimes you feel that this one is not needed, so you can highlight it and then code, make it comment. By commenting this one, it means that you don't you determine for R Markdown that this is a comment. Do not run that one. So if you need that, so you'll see that you only have the image which we just imported. Or if I want to increase the size of that, for example, 60% may be enough. Or you can delete the previous one. I think the size is okay. Then the next thing is that, okay, for example, I want to next exercise. So I separated this one with the 3 asterisks. And then, for example, one of the exercises that we want to do is the question 21 of chapter 11. So just you write your explanation, whatever. But for example, in this example, you need to read a data set. So for example, we don't need any of these top. So we want to recall the data set. So one thing we can do, you can copy paste this one, And then whatever we have inside this one, delete it. So we want to read the data set. Which one data set? The data set related to question 21 of chapter 11. So I recall this one as, do you remember the previous lab? I think in lab 2 we talked about how to import and export data sets. So I called it as a John data. I'm that I'm sure that I have to find this John, because John, it seems that he's very smart, because we haven't already covered the chapter 11, but he knows the material of the chapter 11. So John data. So do you remember how to read the data set of the CSV? So we write read dot CSV. If you can't remember, just look at the lab 3. Uh, then we need to determine the file. So here file equals to quotation, because the name of the file is ex is that 11-21.csv. And then because this is the Excel file, so you can view this file, and there is a 16 file, and the first line is the name of the variable. So that's why we need to write header is true, T. We need to determine the first line is the name of the variable, and then of course sep, because it's a CSV sep, comma. Once you read this data set, then we want to, for example, plot the data, histogram of the data. Just write it, if we cover these materials in chapter 11, a histogram of the John data. And then whatever you have, you see that if I click this red arrow, so here it tells us that we get an error. What is the X variable? John data is the file, but we need to determine that the first row of the John data, because you read it as a data frame. So now you'll see that by running, look at here, whenever I click here, you can run entire of the R Markdown, or you can run a part of R Markdown, and then you see that there is a red bar appears here. It shows you the progress of the running, and it shows you the histogram, so everything is fine. So you can need entire of the document, and then you have the solution to exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, and that's it. So I think you can, if you have more exercises, you can add them one by one. So you can 3 asterisks, and then the next is hashtag exercise. The next exercise is chapter 3, exercise 12. And then you try to type your solution, whatever you have, and then you run it. So you'll see that exercise 12 is started. So the same thing here. So I think everything is done. We have already covered all the materials. The reason it was showing us three asterisks, because it was very close to this graph. That's why whenever you want to create a new line, so just leave one line between the previous line and the next line. By leaving one line, so the R Markdown recognize that whatever you have, it should write that in the new line. It has to create a new line for that. Okay, so everything is fine, and this is the exercise. Then you can, once you create it, So you have everything. Or even you can, if you're able to create directly a PDF file, you can need this one to the PDF file, and it creates for us the PDF file. If you click everything, then if you could create the PDF file. So this is the PDF file, for example, of your assignment 1, and then you just need to submit directly this one to our the Dropbox in our D12. Or if you cannot create a PDF, so don't worry. So the HTML you have already created, you can open this one with in a browser, for example, Safari. And once you have created, so you'll see that it is, because it's HTML, then you can print the entire of this page and save it as a PDF. And then I create assignment 1, 15 as a 1, John Smith. John Smith. I'm sure that John Smith is very strong, so he will get A plus in this course. So save it in desktop, and then you'll see that you have this PDF file, and then you can submit this one as your solution, as your assignment into our Dropbox. Thank you for your attention, and have a good day.